Okay, America, this is wild and not in a good way. Unfolding Saturday night and still this Sunday morning is appears to me, I believe, to be the most consequential scandal of Trump's second term yet. More so than the Epstein files, more so than sending innocent brown people to foreign torture camps, more so than ICE and Customs and Border Patrol and U.S. troops occupying U.S. cities, all of it. On Saturday, we started with this. This is the 28-point plan the U.S. proposed for ending the Russian war in Ukraine. The plan includes the U.S. recognizing areas of Ukraine taken and occupied by Russia to be Russia going forward, aka altering the Russian and Ukrainian borders as we recognize it, so that Ukraine has to cede territory that Putin has wanted this entire time. Ukraine enshrining in its constitution a refusal to join NATO, ever. Ukraine reducing the size of its armed forces from 900,000 to 600,000, chopping off a third. Ukraine never hosting any foreign troops on its soil, aka all of this making Ukraine incredibly susceptible to the next time Putin's hunger pains start to rumble again. Ukraine must hold new elections within 100 days, a demand not made of Russia, a dictatorship that has not held free elections for more than 2 decades. A great note from Ann Applebaum at The Atlantic. All this is from Ann's reporting. The U.S. would lift all sanctions on Russia. Russia would be invited to rejoin the G8, and Russia's economy would be reintegrated into the global financial system. That doesn't sound like a very balanced plan, does it? No. It sounds like a Christmas wish list that the Kremlin sent to Santa, right? In fact, Ann Applebaum notes, awkward wording evident throughout the document suggests that at least some of it was originally written in Russian. This will make sense in about 45 seconds. So then, Saturday afternoon, Republican Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota says at a press conference that Secretary of State Marco Rubio called a group of senators, including him, and told them, this is not our peace plan. It's a proposal. We received this. We did not release it. It was leaked. Senator Angus King, independent from Maine, says the same. The leaked 28-point plan is not the administration's position. It is essentially a wish list of the Russians. And with this, we have a problem. Because on Friday, Carolyn Levitt said this.
This proposal demands major concessions from Ukraine and doesn't demand much from Russia. So was Russia involved in drafting
Your
this?
understanding is wrong. Have you read the full plan? Secretary Rubio met with some of the Ukrainians just in the past week to discuss this very plan.
And Donald Trump said this.
I've spoken with their people. We have a plan. We think we have a way of getting peace. He's going to have to approve it.
And J.D. Vance tweeting this, quoting a tweet applauding the 28-point plan. I appreciate this. It's grappling with reality. He's endorsing this plan. So a bipartisan group of U.S. senators is saying Marco Rubio told them the plan is bogus. It's a Russian wish list. It's not our intentions. The same plan the White House was praising a day before. The same plan the White House told Ukraine, you have a week to accept this, or we're pulling every last dollar and weapon out of your country. This is a problem. Also on Saturday, the Kyiv Independent, a media outlet in Ukraine, ran a story that Steve Witkoff, probably know that name, Trump's guy who's been handling this entire negotiation, and shocker, has a long history of family business and business ties in general to Russia. They said that he is running a shadow operation inside the White House to sideline pro-Ukraine officials. A shadow operation to ram a deal like this one through to re-strengthen Russia and bring its economy back into the fold as quickly as possible. Then, as the sun sets on Saturday, leaks and comments from the State Department start to roll out. Half are saying Rubio had never seen the plan before. Half are saying Rubio helped write it. And then Marco breaks his silence. He says the peace proposal was authored by the U.S. It is offered as a strong framework for ongoing negotiations. It is based on input from the Russian side. No shit. But it is also based on previous and ongoing input from Ukraine. Yeah, okay. So either a bipartisan group of U.S. senators is lying into a microphone about what the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, told them, lying on Marco Rubio's name out loud. I don't think they would do that. Or Marco Rubio lied to the senators and America did author the plan and he was in the room when that happened. Or Marco Rubio was in the dark and J.D. Vance and Steve Witkoff took this extortion scheme written in Russian by Russia, Google translated it, and passed it off to Ukraine, to Europe, to the rest of the United States government, and to the American people as a peace plan drawn up by America, laundering Putin's wish list as this is the best we could come up with, and trying to shove it down Ukraine's throat before anyone was the wiser. Aside from the fact that it appears the Russian government has gotten the highest levels of the US government to start lying on each other out loud. I said this has the potential to be the most consequential scandal by far, I think, of Trump's second term because of the fallout. And these two posts in particular sum it up perfectly. This is from an international studies professor. The last few hours have proven two terrible things. First, the US and Russian governments are so close that the US government takes large parts of Russian proposals and passes them off as their own. And second, that some people are so desperate to exonerate Trump, they act like this is a good thing. And this from a Wall Street Journal correspondent. Foreign nations now have to deal with rival factions of the US government who keep major policy initiatives secret from each other, and some of which work with foreign powers as the succession battle for 2028 begins. This is, as I've been talking about, corruption. This is the globalization of corruption. Both of those. It's Steve Witkoff and his buddies who have financial ties and interests in Russia that would be best served with everyone letting Russia off the hook for the devastation and death it has wrought the past 4 years so that their money piles can grow higher faster. And J.D. Vance hopping on the train that he thinks can take him to the top fastest. And he obviously believes that's Putin's train. It's the globalization of corruption. These are supposed to be MAGA's two least favorite words that they hate the most: globalization, corruption. And a lot of them are starting to excuse both in order to stop supporting Ukraine. And I totally get the reluctance, especially after 4 years, however long it's been, to send aid and support overseas when you might have a case, you can make a case that those resources could be used better here at home. That's a totally fine argument to make. That should not mean getting into bed with Vladimir Putin. Okay, the Tucker Carlsons and J.D. Vances of the world seem to want that. Let's be careful what we wish for. Okay, it's only so long you're cuddling Vlad before he rolls you over and stabs you in the back. That's the whole point of not giving in to dictators. In normal times, the new socialist mayor-elect of New York City being gushed over by Donald Trump, or one of Trump's all-time greatest allies in Congress resigning after taking on scars from a battle with him to expose his former friend's pedophile ring investigation, would be the wildest stories of a weekend. in normal times. But that's not what we're in. Unless you live under a rock, you saw Donald Trump looking like the happiest kid in a candy store on Friday after his closed-door meeting with Zoran Mamdani at the White House. My favorite part, my personal favorite part, was Trump just shitting on Elise Stefanik for a second time. First, he backed out of her bid to be the U.S. ambassador to the UN, and now her campaign to be the governor of New York, which she was planning on running in just diametric opposition to Mamdani.
Republican Elise Stefanik has campaigned multiple times by calling Zoran Mamdani a jihadist. Do you think you're standing next to a jihadist right now in the Oval Office?
No, I don't, but she's out there campaigning, and, you say things sometimes in a campaign.
Isn't that sort of
She's a very capable person.
Isn't
But
that a
you really have to ask her about that. But I don't particularly. I think I met with I met with a man who's a very rational person. I met with a man who really wants to see New York be great again.
Yeah, well, that ruins things for Elise a little bit. She tried to brush it off. She tweeted, "We all want New York City to succeed, but we'll have to agree to disagree on this one. If he walks like a I don't know why I'm doing that accent. She's not from the South. If he walks like a jihadist, if he talks like a jihadist, he's a jihadist." That's her cope. It's so just beautifully pathetic to watch her squirm. Trump loves a winner. That's all this is. Just look at him. It's like when he invites a foreign head of state to the White House. There's nothing like a powerful, successful man to charm little old Donnie. A policy nerd, I've heard people talking about this, might note this is really not surprising at all. Trump's economic policies have taken a remarkably socialist turn his second term here. He's just a big, brash, bumbling Republican, so it misses people. But we have price controls. We have mass trade restrictions with the tariffs. We have seizing control of private companies, government-controlled means of production. That's socialism, baby. That's all that is. So he was already halfway there, and then Zoran got in the Oval and gave him the charm offensive. And Trump said, "Well, this man isn't isn't a jihadist. We could be friends." This is a great point from a New York organizer. She said, "Mamdani's meeting with Trump will protect immigrant communities in New York City more than strongly worded letters and platitudes from Dem leadership ever could." Yeah, Donald Trump has very easy levers to pull and buttons to push, and Zoran on his first go figured it out flawlessly. He played him perfectly. And then the Marjorie Taylor Greene bombshell hit on Friday that she's retiring from Congress after the first of the year. Unknown if this was her plan the whole time. Like I said, she's been taking the path of most resistance lately, carving out her own lane, which is usually a precursor to the official acknowledgement of higher ambitions. But the Marjorie Taylor Greene era of Congress is coming to an end, which is crazy. So, what a weekend. Okay, America.